Journey to the West, an audio drama series. Chapter 41, Part 2. Xingzhe led the dragon troops and soon arrived above the withered pine ravine of Howling Mountain. He said, "Thank you for taking such a long trip here, the respected brothers of the Owl family. This is where the monster lives. You shall stay in the air for the moment and not show yourselves. Allow Elderson to provoke battle with him. If I can defeat him, you do not have to help with the capturing. If I lose against him, you also do not have to help with the fighting. Only when he starts the fire shall you pay attention for my call, and together pour rain." The Dragon Kings followed his orders. Xingzhe then came down from a cloud and entered the pine forest. He saw Bajie and Shamonk before calling, "Brothers?" Bajie asked, "Big brother is making a swift return. Have you invited the Dragon Kings over?" Xingzhe answered, "They are all here. The two of you shall be very careful. I fear the huge rain will dampen our luggage. Wait as Elderson fights him." Shamonk said, "Worry not and go, elder brother. We will take care of everything." Xingzhe then hopped across the ravine and came to the gates, shouting, "Open the door!" The imps again reported, "Sun Xingzhe has returned." The red child looked up and laughed, saying, "I bet the fire never burned that monkey, so he is coming back again. This time around, there is no way I will spare him. I will only stop when his skin is charred and flesh melted." He quickly stretched and held his long spear, instructing, "Little ones, push the fire carts out." He then went out the gates and said to Xingzhe, "What are you coming for again?" Xingzhe said, "Give me back my master." The monster said, "You monkey head are quite stubborn. If that tongue monk deserved to be your master, then he is equally deserving to be my snack to go with wine. Yet you are still thinking about getting him back. Just forget about him. Forget all about him." Xingzhe heard that and became outraged. Raising his golden-hooped rod, he aimed right for the head. The monster spirit quickly held up his fire-tipped spear to parry the blow. This battle was unlike the one before. How splendid! Enraged over a monk, heartless, for only hard feelings remained. Both would rather eat the other for food. Truly ferocious were their rod and spear. 20 rounds were exchanged between them. It seemed that their skills were an equal match. The Monster King fought against Xingzhe for 20 rounds when he realized he could not claim victory. So he instead feigned a move with the spear before quickly withdrawing himself. Holding up a fist again, he punched his own nose and fire instantly came out. Smoke and fire shot up from the carts before the gates. Red flames flew out of his mouth and eyes. Great Sage Sun turned around to shout, "Where are the Dragon Kings?" The Dragon King brothers, along with all the aquatic creatures, began sending rain down onto the monster's glowing fire. Splendid rain, truly, like silver stars falling from the skies, like violent waves crashing. It began hammering down buckets. Soon it was pouring pots and basins. Green water washing across the ground and down mountains as endless streaks of jade and silver shot through valleys and ravines. Brimming with water are roads and streams, for dragons overturned the heavenly river to help the tongue monk. Yet, with all of that rain pouring down, the monster's fire showed no sign of subsiding. It turned out that the private rain created by Dragon Kings was only effective against mortal fires, but useless when it came to the true samadhi fire of the monster spirit. Instead, it was like spilling oil onto fire, which only made it stronger. The great sage said, "Wait as I recite a spell and enter the fire." He then held up his iron rod to look for the monster for a fight. The monster saw him approaching and blew a mouthful of smoke right in his face. Xingzhe quickly turned around, but the smoke stung his eyes, throwing him into a terrible daze as tears fell like rain. It turned out that the great sage had no fear of fire, but much for smoke. because when he wreaked havoc in the heavenly palace in the old days, he was thrown into the furnace of 8 trigrams by the supreme and venerable elder, and went through quiet the refining process. Fortunately, he found safety in the position of Xun in the southeastern direction. The fire could not burn him there, but the wind drew smoke, which resulted in his fire eyes and golden pupils. That is why he remains vulnerable to smoke to this day. The monster then gave another blow. Xingzhe could not take it anymore, so he unleashed his cloud and left. The monster king then retrieved his fire equipment and returned to his cave residence. Covered in smoke and flames, the great sage found the burning heat increasingly unbearable. As a result, he plunged straight into the ravine to put out the fire. Who would have thought that the cold water would push the burning air into his heart and his soul out of his body? Poor thing! Air caught in his chest as his throat and tongue went cold. Spirit dispersed from what was left of his life, barely lingering. Panicked, the dragon kings of the 4 seas withdrew all the rain from mid-air and shouted loudly, "Marshal of heavenly reeds, great curtain-raising general! Stop hiding in the woods now and come find your elder brother." Bajie and Shamak heard someone calling them by their divine titles, so they quickly untied the horse and exited the forest with the luggage on their shoulders. With no regard for the muddy terrains, they went searching alongside the ravine. What they saw was that within the tumbling waves of the upstream, a person was carried down by the rushing torrents. Shamak saw that and jumped into the water with his clothes on. Having carried the person on shore, he realized it was the body of great sage Sun. Alas! Look at him with his 4 limbs bent and stiffened. He was cold as ice from head to toe. Tearing up, Shamak said, "Elder brother, what a pity it is! You were once a man of immortality for an eternity, but now both your journey and life have been cut short midway." Bajie laughed and said, "Don't cry yet, brother. The monkey is only feigning death to scare us. Give him a feel and see if there is still heat in his chest." Shamak said, "His entire body has gone cold. Even if there is a bit of warmth left, how could it be enough to revive him?" Bajie said, "He has 72 transformations, which means he's got 72 lives. You go pull on his legs. Let me handle him." And so Shamak indeed pulled on the feet, while Bajie held his head so the body was straightened. They then pulled his legs up and put him in a sitting position with crossed legs. Bajie rubbed his hands till they got warm before covering Xingzhe's 7 orifices. He then applied a Buddhist massaging method. Because the icy water caused pressure to build up, keeping air trapped in Xingzhe's stomach, he was unable to speak. Luckily, with Bajie's massages and rubbing, in moments, the air pushed through the 3 passes on his body before arriving at the top of his head. As the air exited from his orifices, he shouted, "Oh, master!" Shamak said, "Oh, big brother, you were fighting for master when you were alive, even keeping him in your mouth in death. Wake up now, we are right here." Xingzhe opened his eyes and said, "My brothers are here. Elder Sun has suffered incredible loss." Bajie laughed and said, "You were just now passed out. If it weren't for old boar saving you, you would have ended here. Why are you still not thanking me?" Xingzhe only then got up and looked above, asking, "Where are the owl brothers?" The dragon kings of the 4 seas answered from mid-air, "We humble little dragons are at your service." Xingzhe said, "I apologize for troubling you with the long trip without bringing back any merit. Please return for now. I will thank you again at a later date." And so the dragon kings led the aquatic creatures away as they returned in disappointment. We will speak no more of that. Shamak helped Xingzhe up and sat him down in the pine forest. After a while, his spirit was calmed and he was breathing smoothly. But he couldn't help but cry as tears rolled down his cheeks. Oh, master, I still remember how you left Great Tongue many years ago. By the cliff you saved me from my calamities and woes. Through mountains and water we faced off against monstrous foes. Testing our courage were countless hurdles and blows. Breakfasting from a single bowl, whether the meal was rich or poor. Meditating through the night, be it in woods or a home. Wholeheartedly we expect to complete the fruit of merit. The pain we are in today, who could have known? Sha Monk said, Big brother, don't you worry about it. We shall come up with a plan as soon as possible and find help from somewhere so we can rescue master. Xingzhe asked, Where shall we get help? Sha Monk said, In the beginning, Bodhisattva instructed us that we shall escort the tongue monk. She promised that when we call for heaven, our calls will be answered by heaven, and when we call for earth, our calls will be answered by earth. Should we try to get help there? Xingzhe said, Think about when Elder Sun wreaked havoc in heaven. None of the divine soldiers could stop me. This monster spirit has incredible powers. It would have to take someone more capable than Elder Sun to subdue him. Heavenly gods won't do and earthly deities can't do it. To capture this monster, we would have to invite Guanyin Bodhisattva. Too bad my body is sore and my joints are in pain. I can't ride on the somersault cloud. How can we invite her? Bajie said, What orders have you got for me? Let me go invite her. Xingzhe laughed and said, Fine then, you can go. When you see Bodhisattva, remember to never stare up at her. You shall only keep your head down to pay respect to her. When she asks you questions, tell her the name of the place and monster before inviting her over to save master. If she agrees to come, we are certain to capture that monster. Bajie took the orders before riding on cloud and mist to head southward. We speak of the monster king who sat happily in his cave. Little ones, Sun Xingzhe has left in defeat. This time around, even if we can't kill him, we are sure to give him quite the blackout. Alas, I'm afraid he will once again seek outside help. Quick, open the door. Let me go see who he is inviting. The imps opened the gates so the monster spirit could hop into the air and observe from above. What he saw was Bajie heading south. The monster figured that there was nothing else in the south, so he must be heading for Guanyin Bodhisattva. He thereby quickly came down from his cloud and called, Little ones, fetch that leather bag for me. I haven't used it for a very long while. I fear the rope around its opening is no longer tight. Change it to a new one for me and place it below the secondary gates. Once I go and capture Bajie with a trick, we will put him in that bag. Then we can steam him till his meat is soft, so you can all get a share as reward. It turned out that the monster spirit had a compliant leather bag. The imps took it out and changed the rope before placing it inside the cave entrance. We will speak no more of that. We speak of the monster king who has lived in this place for a long time, so the entire place was quite familiar to him. He knew which way to the South Seas was faster and which was further. By taking the shorter route, he sped up his cloud and surpassed Bajie. He then sat upright on a cliff rock before transforming into a fake Guan Shiyin as he waited for Bajie's arrival. The fool was just traveling on cloud when he suddenly spotted Bodhisattva. How could he tell what was real or fake? That was truly a case of taking the statue for true Buddha. The fool therefore stopped his cloud and prostrated, saying, Bodhisattva, your disciple Zhu Wuneng kowtows to you. The monster spirit asked, Why are you not escorting the tongue monk to seek scriptures, and instead coming to see me? Bajie explained, Your disciple was accompanying my master on our way when we came to the Fire Cloud Cave of Withered Pine Ravine in Howling Mountain. There is a monster spirit named Red Child who has kidnapped my master. This disciple, along with my elder brother, reached his doors and asked for a battle. But he could manipulate fire, so we could not win the first time around. The second time, however, we invited the Dragon Kings to help with rain and still could not put out the fire. Elder brother was quite badly burnt by him and cannot move freely. That's why he sent this disciple to invite Bodhisattva. I pray that you can spare your compassion and save my master from his woes. The monster spirit replied, That master of the fire cloud cave isn't one who harms lives. You must have offended him. Bajie said, I never offended him. It was my elder brother Wukong who did. The monster transformed into a little child who hung from a tree to test my master. Master has a merciful heart, so he told me to untie the child and elder brother to carry him on his back for a bit. It was elder brother who threw him off, so he started a wind and snatched master away. The monster spirit said, Stand up, won't you? Come with me to the cave to see the cave master. I will speak on your behalf, so you can deliver an apology. That way, we can get your master out. Bajie said, Oh, Bodhisattva, if he is willing to give my master back, I would happily kowtow to him. The monster king said, Follow me, won't you? The fool had no idea of what was good or bad, so he followed along on the road he came. They did not head for the South Seas, but instead came to the gate of Fire Cloud. In moments, they were at the entrance. The monster entered and said, No need to be suspicious. He's an old acquaintance of mine. Come inside, won't you? The fool had no choice but to walk through the door. As all the imps shouted in unison, Bajie was dragged down and pushed into the bag. With its opening drawn tight, the bag was hung high on a beam. The monster showed his original form and sat in the middle, saying, 猪八戒, what skills do you even have that you dare escort the tongue monk for scriptures? What gave you the courage to invite Bodhisattva to subdue me? Look at you with your eyes so wide open. Do you not recognize me for Great King Sage, baby? Now that I have captured you, I shall hang you up for 3 to 5 days. And then you will be steamed and rewarded to my imps as a side dish for wine. Bajie heard that and cursed from inside the bag. Unruly monster, how very rude. Even if you have exhausted all your tricks to turn me into food, I will make sure to give each and every one of you the plague that makes your head swollen. The fool kept throwing insults and screams, but we will speak no more of that. We go back to Great Sage Sun, who was sitting with Sha Monk when a gust of foul wind blew right across his face. He immediately sneezed and said, Bad news! Bad news! This wind means more misfortune than not. I bet Zhu Bajie has taken the wrong way. Sha Monk said, If he did, wouldn't he ask someone about it? Xingzhe said, He must have come across the monster. Sha Monk asked, If he did, wouldn't he run back? Xingzhe said, This won't do. You shall sit here and stay on guard. Wait as I run across the ravine to find out what happened. Sha Monk said, Elder brother still has an aching back. I fear you might fall into his attacks again. Let your little brother go instead. Xingzhe said, You won't do. It still has to be me. Splendid Xingzhe. Gritting his teeth and bearing all the pain, he held his iron rod as he walked across the ravine. Having arrived before the Fire Cloud cave, he shouted, Monster! The imps guarding the gates hurried inside to report. Sun Xingzhe is once again shouting outside the door. The monster spirit then sent out an order to capture him. The imps grabbed their spears and knives as they opened the door, yelling battle cries. Take him! Take him! Xingzhe was indeed exhausted, so he dared not head forward. Instead, he snuck by the roadside and recited a spell, saying, Change! He then transformed into a cloth bundle inlaid with gold threads. The imps saw it and reported, Great King, Sun Xingzhe is truly scared. All he heard was the word take, and he lost it, leaving behind a bundle. The Monster King laughed and said, That cloth bundle hasn't anything valuable inside either. I bet it's just some worn-out clothes and hats for monks. Carry it inside so we can tear apart and wash the material and reuse them as patches. An imp indeed carried the bundle inside, not knowing it was what Xingzhe turned into. Xingzhe said, "Wonderful, they are carrying this cloth bundle inlaid with gold threads." The master spirit did not think much of it and left it inside the door. Splendid, Xingzhe, creating fraud within fraud and emptiness within nothing. He pulled a hair before blowing divine breath onto it to turn it into the same bundle. His real form, on the other hand, transformed into a fly and perched on the hinge of the door. What he could hear was Ba Jie mumbling inside in a muffled voice, like a pig hit with the plague. With a buzz, Xingzhe flew off to look for him. It turned out that he was hung inside a leather bag. Xingzhe perched on the leather bag and heard him insulting the monster on and on with very nasty words. "Why did you transform into Guanyin Bodhisattva to fool me here? You are hanging me up here and talking about eating me. One day, my elder brother will unleash his boundless heaven-equaling power. Just a matter of time before you unruly beasts on the mountain are caught. The leather bag will be opened as I am set free. Only by hitting you 1,000 times with my rake can it please my heart." Xingzhe heard that and secretly laughed, saying, "The fool might be suffering in silence here, but he has not let the morale down. Elderson must capture this monster, otherwise how could I possibly have my revenge?" Just when he was coming up with a plan to save Ba Jie, he could hear the Monster King shouting, "Where are my 6 valiant generals?" At the time, there were 6 imps whom he considered to be friends. They were all appointed to be valiant generals and given names which were 云里雾, mist within cloud, 雾里云, cloud within mist, 急如火, swift as fire, 快如风, fast as wind, 心红鲜, passion roasted and stirred, 鲜红心, stirred and roasted passion. The 6 valiant generals came and went down on their knees as the Monster King asked, "Do you know where the elderly great king lives?" The 6 valiant generals answered, "Yes, we do." The Monster King instructed, "You shall travel through the night to invite the elderly great king over for me. Tell him that I have captured the Tang monk, who will be steamed into food to serve him. That way, he can enjoy a long life for an eternity." The 6 monsters took the order and left the door, pulling and dragging each other. With another buzz, Xingzhe flew off the bag to follow the 6 monsters as they left the cave. We do not know how they will make the invitation. Please wait until the next chapter.